Welcome back to our channel. Today we're heading off to South London to revisit an old client of ours in which we completed a project around 4 to 5 years ago and to ask him how the whole experience was. So, when you first bought this place, what was the idea? Because I know it wasn't this.
It definitely wasn't this. 100% wasn't this. We needed to move. We were running out of space in our last place. We bought this place thinking, you know what, it ticked all the boxes as it was. Apart from the front, we didn't love the way the front was. We're very kind of symmetrical type. Like, we like everything to be symmetrical, and at the front we've got obviously this turret, whatever, that was causing us a bit of discomfort. And I almost never came to view it because of that. And we were looking at a house around the corner, and then on the way back, I just stopped, called the agent. He said, "Oh, we're here actually. You can view it." And came in, and it ticked loads of the boxes. We wanted to renovate it, but we weren't talking about extending it or kind of doubling the size or whatever. And then we started stripping it.
As it starts.
And then carried on stripping it to the point where we could see this. We stood in the hallway and we could see the sky. We think, oh shit, we better stop stripping this now.
And actually decide what we're going to do with it.
Yeah, and it was through COVID, so planning took a while. And it was a lot bigger than what we thought. But
It was a beautiful space, but I know that when we did initially start this project, whether you had it in mind or not, to extend, it was always going to be a huge remodel.
Yeah.
I don't think there was very few walls that we left.
no, I think the front of the house and the front section, lots of it is as it was, but then the whole back of the house came off, so kind of lots of it, you wouldn't recognise the house at all.
So I'm very much like you. Everything has to be symmetrical because symmetry just seems to be perfect. However, whether it's because I'm getting older and wiser, imperfections seem to be the perfection. Now, you mentioned the turret not being what you had as an ideal view of a home.
Yeah.
Can you see it any other way now?
No, I think what you realise once you've moved into it and your wife and kids are in here, the things that were bothering you whilst you were doing the work don't mean shit. Being quite frank, it's like once your wife and kids are in and you're all enjoying the space and it's your home and it's a house that you never really thought that you'd be able to live in anyway. The little things that would really consume you whilst you're doing it, even things as big as, oh yeah, this kind of, the front isn't symmetrical. Yeah, none of it really. Yeah, we'd got hung up on lots of small things whilst we were doing the work. And I could just remember thinking we were getting hung up on this, and things from like inserts in bath taps to this and that. And now, you just laugh. I couldn't even tell what colour they are now, I forget. It really doesn't mean anything.
No, I can resonate with that. Now, a lot of the things that we get, well, it's a shock to our clients, is a certain stage of a project when they don't realise what is going on and what have they done. What was that stage for you where you walked in or you came past the site and you thought, what am I doing?
I'll be honest, because I'm involved in the kind of financing developments of what I do for a living, that didn't really hit me. I kind of knew what to expect. What took me by surprise or frustrated me was the same thing that was frustrating you guys, because we were doing this during COVID. It was actually getting hold of materials, actually getting hold of the guys. For example, we had to wait for God knows how long to get the render done, right? And that was like, I was pulling my hair out, no jokes. But no, it's just that was a sign of, so yeah, my chest hit. But that was a sign of the times. But yeah, none of that really caught me by surprise. I guess what did catch us by surprise was how intricate a lot of it was, and we kind of regretted not having an interior designer. And we couldn't really afford to bring in a big interior designer anyway when we were doing it. So we just did it with you guys' help, and you guys were fantastic, to be honest. But there was a lot of intricate decisions that needed to be made, how one thing coexists with something else. And that was a bit of a minefield.
Considering no interior designer was involved, obviously we did help where we could. Ultimately, this is your personal touch. This is the things that you and your family enjoy and like. This didn't all come from you, did it?
No, I mean,
because you hadn't done too badly here.
No, me and Christine kind of agree on most things with this stuff. We don't really like too much clutter. You don't find loads of different colours. Kind of everything's relatively neutral, underpinned by kind of black doors, etc. So, yeah,
statement pieces.
We never really had any disagreement about anything like that. We're quite fortunate we agree on most of those things. So yeah, it's I think actually designing the house and with the architect, I did a lot of that. Architect was great. I've known him for a long time. A guy called Nomos Group, good guy. But yeah, I had a lot of say in that because obviously I only had a certain amount of space to work with, and you're working with an existing house and extending it, etc.
So what a lot of people don't seem to realise as well when taking on a project of this scale, an architect, structural engineer, interior designer, they all play key roles. Fair enough, you didn't have an interior design here, which again, like I said, you haven't done too badly, it looks fantastic. But with an architect and a good structural engineer in play, you might have the ideas that you tell them that you want, but financially, it might not make sense to do it that way. And they'll come up with a way to try and achieve your overall outcome that won't cost you an arm and a leg. Was there anything, or at any point, a design that you thought that you had in your mind, and then the architect and structural engineer came along and said, you know what, Nick, let's do it this way because it's not going to cost as much as the other way, but you're still going to get the same outcome?
I remember wanting the recessed ceilings, and speaking to you guys, you broke it down to say, okay, you have that in every single room. This is the knock-on effect because it's the labour and the additional cost in doing that, but then you're going to have additional lighting. Yeah. So the knock-on effect of doing all of that in every single room, or at least in your big rooms, is going to be X. Make the decision and whether you think that's worth it, or whether you're going to use that money for your critical style doors or whatever it may be. It's just kind of moving the money around. So that's one thing I remember, which I don't regret at all. It was the right advice, because I think, how often do you sit and look up? You don't.
So the way we usually approach it with any client is, yeah, it'd be fantastic if we had an unlimited pot of money to do everything that we want to do. It's the musts that we have to have, and obviously the likes, things that would be nice to have. List those out, and then wherever the budget aligns, we'll try and incorporate as much as we can. It might be that you had ideas of doing something like, obviously, the critical style doors. That I think that was non-negotiable for you. It was like a bit of a feature piece.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
There'll be other things that we can kind of help value engineer along the way. Yeah. Like you said, with the speakers and the sound system or the lighting. Was it needed? How often am I going to use it? Why not allocate that budget somewhere else? Unfortunately, in the industry that we're in, a lot of contractors will say to the client, you can have whatever you want. Not think about the long-term view.
Yeah.
Throughout the process, how would you say that Nomos conducted themselves in regards to helping you and guiding you to making decisions, to help value engineer areas, whether it was us sourcing materials for you to try and bring down the cost based on the accounts that we have with our suppliers, or whether it was sending you to subcontractors that they will work closely with to try and get something designed to obviously help you again with your budget?
I think you guys were great, and you're also pretty clear. So if there was something that we'd ask for that was a variation, we'd agree, okay, this is what that's going to cost, or the additional work or the additional time. And you guys are quite good at making that clear. A lot of it were little things that you would say, yeah, that's fine, let's not worry about that. And then we'll focus on bigger variations, and you'll be nice and clear to say, listen, do you really want that? Because that's going to cost us an additional couple of £1,000, etc. and you're not a registered charity, so I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to pay for it. But you were pretty clear with that. In terms of like the design, I think the kitchen you helped with, the outdoor area, the barbecue area, was you guys essentially designed all of that for us, and they put us in touch with people to do it and pieced all that together, which was amazing. Because I think if I was left to my own devices, that would have cost far more.
I remember some of the ideas that you're coming up with.
Yeah,
We had to
you
scale back.
you reined me in massively, and that's worked out really.
And ultimately,
really well.
you've achieved what you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, even things like the fire. I remember actually the fireplace there, where we wanted it to be a certain width, and to source it at a certain width, it was going to cost stupid money or take however long to source. And instead of doing that, you advised us, or you sourced for us, kind of these black panels that basically gave it the visual look to elongate it, which was, I can't remember how much that saved us, but it saved us a lot.
It would have, because you'll have standard sizes for stuff like that. Once you go beyond the realms of what's off the shelf, unfortunately, suppliers, manufacturers, it is telephone numbers. They will just pluck out a number. If you really want it, we'll get it made, but you're going to pay for it.
Yeah, exactly that. So the way you, that was one thing I remember as I'm looking at it, for sure.
Even down to things like the tile layouts. Obviously, we've got a lovely herringbone style flooring throughout. It's a tile. A lot of people might not realise that, but it is a tile. We've gone for a really good quality tile effect of a wooden effect. I don't think a lot of people take into account that before we get to this finished product is the setting out, is making sure that the lines run through, whether it's centered to the front door, whether it goes through to the back doors, how the cuts are on the edges. And people may or may not know this, but a lot of the time, these floors are dry fitted. We'll put the tiles down, we'll see how it pans out, we'll see where the change needs to be made. So in effect, we're laying the tiles twice, one to see how it looks, and two actually for a finished product. Throughout the process, obviously, what were the issues that you found when we were building, whether it's with our team, our contract management staff, our suppliers, our subcontractors? Were there any issues that you came across or you felt that were not ideal, and obviously how they were overcome, and if we did overcome them?
Put me on a spot, because it was a few years back now. I think I go back to the render, and I think part of that is the point and the process it is, because you're starting to get fatigued at that point. And you want to strike that scaffold. You need the render done in order to do that. So you start to get really frustrated. I think we got let down by a couple of subcontractors. I think your team it was at a time during COVID, and I think some of your guys had gone back home, whatever, and you kind of lost the team that you had in house. So that threw us off. That then obviously left a hole in the budget, etc., because you're going to subcontractors and increase their prices. So that was a real. If I think about anything in the process, that was the bit that was frustrating. But ultimately, you guys resolved it. You kind of said, you got to be a bit patient. It's going to be a little bit longer. I remember having a conversation to say, this is something that you're going to see every single day. It has to be the right quality. We can go and get a subcontractor to come and do this, and I can get him here next week. But the guy who we want to do this is ready in 2 months. Just hold off and just trust us that has to be done. And we won't lose any time in the process. We'll carry on doing everything else internally. Obviously for us it's frustrating, because you just want a house to look like a house and stop looking like a building site. But no, ultimately it worked out.
And was you happy with the finished product?
Yeah, we were. Yeah,
good.
Yeah. No, they were really, really good. Didn't realise how much of a job it was actually. It was a huge job. And with the tiling, you're right. I remember coming in here and seeing the guy kind of map it all out, and then come back the next day and nothing's been laid. So what the fuck's going on? They've just redone it again. So it's kind of like that measure twice, cut once kind of thing.
That's exactly
so it was. But that's worked out really, really nice. And this, you guys sourced this for us, and considering the space, the amount of space, because it's obviously through the entire ground floor, you got this at a price for us that was amazing, because we were getting some stupid quotes.
Especially during COVID time, obviously suppliers could take advantage.
You ordered too much of it though, because I've got shitloads of it left. I've got loads left. I think you were scared just in case.
Our worry was, it was the batch number. So whether you're familiar with it or not, when you order a tile or a flooring or whatever it might be, things get made in batches.
Yeah.
And even though that when you're redoing the same sort of look or the same sort of finish,
Yeah.
there can be a slight colour pigmentation when receiving a new batch.
Yeah.
What we didn't want to do was run out of stock, order it again, and it comes from a different batch, and then there will be a slight colour variation.
Yeah.
So going through such an extensive build, an extensive remodel, obviously we've added, like I said, we've nearly doubled the size of the footprint of the property. Would you do it again?
I wouldn't be scared to do it again, but we don't intend to go anywhere. I mean, it's for us, we'll be here for forever until the kids are moved down. It's a bit too big for us, whatever. So I'm not scared to do it again, but it's not something I'll be rushing to do. What
would you say your most favourite or enjoyable part of the home is that we've done for you?
It's going to be the barbecue area, which isn't in the house. It's at the back of the garden.
Obviously, we've done the whole house.
The whole house. But it has to be the barbecue area, and I guess I'd say that.
Should we go have a look at that then?
Yeah, why not?
Come on. Let's go through, obviously, the whole design process that we went through, the ups, the downs, how we got to this finished product. I think one of the key things as well, Nick, was you wanted to make sure that it was still a barbecue area, but it was incorporated with the outside and inside feel.
Yeah.
Not to fully enclose it. So obviously, we went to a specific company that manufactures these pergolas.
Yeah.
And we want to get as much natural lighting as possible. So we had this motorized roof.
Yeah.
The glass opens up.
The best thing about it, because we barbecue in the winter.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we'll barbecue Christmas Day, right? So we can, we're in here in the winter. We've got heaters. And in actual fact, what happens when you're cooking and you've got lots of people around, loads of people congregating in here because they want to see what's going on, they want to see the action. So you have 4 or 5 guys.
Get a bit of food.
Yeah, you'd have about 4 or 5 guys just leaning over. Like, it's nice. We love it here. And we've fed 50 odd people comfortably. You can probably feed at a push twice that.
Yeah.
It's probably a bit excessive, I'm not going to lie to you. It looks like a kebab shop.
Nick, thank you very much for today and getting us into your beautiful home.
You're welcome.
It's good to see that over such a long period of time, it still looks in good order and it's still standing.
Yeah.
Just to leave us with something for whoever is watching this, a bit of advice if someone is looking to take on a project of this scale, what they should or shouldn't do when trying to select a contractor.
I think the most important thing is to select a contractor that you think actually cares, that gives a shit. I mean, you see a lot that don't, but you see some like you guys that do, right? Wouldn't let you back in after 4 years if you didn't. So I'll definitely say that. And I think select a contractor that cares about the end product as much as what you do. I remember certain things, even with hanging radiators upstairs, that we didn't specify something, but you insisted on changing it, which cost you guys more money, didn't cost us anything because you insisted, no, we missed this, we need to do it this way, because you cared about the finish. So I definitely say that.
So it goes without saying that you would recommend Nomos for any future projects?
100%.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Nick. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
And all the best. So that wraps up the video for today. I hope you liked the content. Please comment below, let us know how we got on, if there's anything else you'd like to see, and don't forget to share, subscribe and hit that bell button. See you on the next one.